always try to find a gap in the market. Find an important gap which is not being fulfilled. But if you want to really scale and do multiple businesses, the most important thing is your people. Your top talent has to be the best in the market. Eventually, if your vision is strong, your people are strong, and your conviction is strong, you'll always win in long term.
Adel Sajan, the man behind Danube Home, and he's the Group MD of Danube Group. Adel brings wealth of experience to any table he sits on. He did his executive MBA at Harvard Business School with a focus on marketing. Adel is not just a seasonal professional, but a young dynamic force driving the success of Danube Home and Group overall. How do you manage your time being a successful person, running several verticals, I would say,
Sure.
and taking care of yourself?
So a lot of people ask me this. I'm a very...
Welcome back, Alphas, to a new inspiring episode of the Alpha Talks podcast. Today in the studio, I've got a very special Alpha for you today. Adel Sajan is the man behind Danube Home, and he's the Group MD of Danube Group. Please join me in welcoming Adel Sajan to the Alpha Talks podcast. Thank you for coming today and having this conversation with us.
Thank you, SEIF, for having me, and I'm looking forward.
Same here, same here. So, Adel, let's say in the beginning, somebody just saw the thumbnail once we launched the podcast. He sees the graphic, he sees the title, and he say it sounds interesting, looks interesting. What can we promise them today to gain if they gave us their time? Anything that comes to your head?
Well, I've been privileged to be part of a family business, and I myself take care of 5 verticals in the business. So what they would probably get some insight is how family business functions, what are the challenges. I know everything seems very rosy outside, but it comes with a lot of work, and how you take up those challenges and how you deal with it.
I love that. And I think a lot of people will be looking forward to hear your story and how to, I would say, you will inspire them to take actions. So let's start off with, can you tell us who's Adel in a nutshell? In a very quick way. We will dig deeper, but in a nutshell, if you want to describe yourself, who's going to be Adel?
Well, like I said, talking professionally, I take care of 5 verticals. So Danube Home being the mother, which is one of the fastest growing home improvement retailers in the region. Besides this, I'm also into e-commerce, franchise, taking Danube Home into international scale.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we have a hospitality business, and then finally the sports business, which is this. Me as a person, I am a very organized person. The busier you get, the more organized you have to be. Just because I have a lot of work doesn't mean I don't sacrifice on my social life. I love playing sports. I have a beautiful wife, Sana. I have 3 kids.
MashaAllah.
And I love traveling. I travel almost 100 days plus per year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Business or leisure?
90 days would be business, 10 days leisure.
Let's put it in perspective.
Yeah.
Adel, let's start off and you give us a glimpse of the humble beginnings of your family.
Yeah.
Your family built, I would say, something from nothing, built something big from nothing. So a lot of people think that the success that they see now, it was given. No, it wasn't given. You, your father, your family worked so hard to reach this level. So can you start off with the humble beginnings, even in a short way?
Yeah, so my father started off with very humble beginnings. We were actually living in Kuwait, and then the war happened, and when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait, so suddenly whatever little wealth that my family had almost came to zero. So when he came to Dubai almost 32 years ago, he came with $30,000 in his pocket.
No way.
So that was the very, very beginning. And in a couple of years, in fact, today we're celebrating our 30-year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
For the company.
Wow.
So we started off with very humble beginnings in the building material business. And brick by brick, we started expanding. We were also lucky because if you see the way Dubai has grown over the last 30 years, that really helped us in a big way. And the leaders of the country really support businesses and make it easy for people to do business. So if you would have come 30 years ago with not much money in your pocket, you'll find many, many people who become millionaires or billionaires from scratch. So we're one of the families very humbled and blessed. And that was his journey. Of course, I had a very different journey. When I joined the family business, we had money. So I had a platform to start with. But being the only child,
It's another thing, absolutely true.
I felt like I want to make the most of it, even though we're not making money to change our lifestyle. But I just felt that, seeing the way kind of work he's done, I wanted to try and create in my own space.
100%. We'll talk about this.
A quick note, I find this incredibly intriguing. On the back end of our YouTube channel, it says around 75% of you who watch this channel frequently over the lifetime of this channel haven't yet hit the subscribe button. I just wanted to ask you for a favor. It helps this channel so much if you choose to just subscribe. It helps us invite guests that give you great value. It helps us scale the production and as well makes this show bigger and bigger for you. And if you enjoyed the previous episodes and you're currently enjoying this episode, could you please hit the subscribe button? I love your support. It's incredible to see all your comments and engagement. And we are just starting. Thank you so much, and I will repay this gesture by making sure that everything we do on this show makes it bigger, and better. I'm committed to do this promise. Do we have a deal? Thank you so much for subscribing. It means the world to me.
When did you join the family business? At what age? And what was your responsibilities?
So my dad, and I have to give credit for him, he put me to work from a very young age. So, summer holidays generally in school is June, July, August.
True.
And from the age of 13, we used to have these building material shops in Dera.
Yeah.
So I started working there during the summer, 8 to 1. But the challenge was I had to work with the blue collar staff, which I loved, but it was an open yard.
True.
So if you can visualize June, July, August in Dubai without shade.
Oh, really? It's an open yard.
Open yard, because that's where you store the timber.
True.
And it was hot. And I used to carry 4 shirts to work every day. My manager was told to be very strict with me. You have to be on time. And my mom and my dad would fight about this a lot. And my dad's like, look, this is my domain. So you have to be, letting it pass. So he put me to work from that age. And
13.
then 13.
Wow.
13. I was getting a salary though. I was getting paid 500 dirhams a month.
No way. Yeah.
Which was a lot of money for a 13-year-old, 21 years ago.
True.
So in that sense, I was happy and I was learning as well. So it started off like that, and then during...
I will stop here because I want to ask you something.
Okay.
Your father approach to business, I believe, was tough on you.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Yeah,
very tough.
Very.
Being tough on you at that age and during the journey, what shaped in you during this by being tough? What created the ethics in you, or the work ethics, the business ethics?
Huge difference. One is he instilled a lot of value for money in me from the beginning. Even when we spent, it was my birthday. It's not that we could afford it, but he was very, okay, pick what you want, choose one gift. My mom was the complete opposite, And the second thing is, it gave me a massive head start, 6-7 year head start compared to my peers when I graduated. Third is, a lot of times I see people, they just show up at the business without having any understanding. But here, because my foundation was built so strong from such a young age, I had a fair understanding of how different departments in the company work.
True.
So this helped me in a big way.
When people look at you, a lot of people, that the people that, they have the excuses for themselves and say, you're coming telling about your success story. Of course, you've been born in a rich family and it was easy for you. I want you to give them how it was hard, because I work in a family business as well, and it's not an easy thing at all. When you said like your father was tough, the same for me. So it's not an easy thing. Can you tell them your experience? The challenges that you faced being part of the family business. You always want to be, okay, you're a son of a chairman. Okay, the spotlight is on you. Am I correct?
Only son, only child, even harder.
Exactly. So how these challenges, how did you face it?
A lot of people believe that, of course, he's born with a silver spoon. And I'm not disregarding that in the sense that, yes, we've had luxuries in life which grew as our business grew. But that does not mean the challenges were not there. In fact, the challenges I feel were really, really hard, because a lot had to be done, a lot had to be proven at a young age. So I was probably always doing work 10 or 15 years above my pay scale.
True.
From a young age. And like you said, all eyes are on you. So you have to perform because your father has been successful.
True.
You need to prove your worth.
And you have a benchmark.
Huge benchmark. Being Rizwan Sajan's son is, it's a huge benchmark, big shoes to fill in.
True.
So there were many challenges, which of course we'll talk about in the podcast. But it was good. I mean, I'm privileged, and I'm happy to be having those kind of challenges set for me. And my dad always supported me a lot. He gave me a lot of freedom, which probably a father wouldn't have given to somebody at such a young age. So that helped me in a big way.
I love this part. What type of freedom? Because sometimes people, I would say, he's a chairman.
Yeah.
He's running the business.
Sure.
He's the power center. Giving you freedom and giving you responsibility is not an easy game. He wants always to be in the power control.
Sure.
Am I correct? So how did he pass it over to you in a way, or on a particular segment of the business? Because you build trust through working. Am I correct?
So, on the contrary, he wasn't like that. He had the control, but
Yeah.
he gave the freedom. So my early journey, if I talk a little bit
Yeah.
about that, from age 13 to 18, during my internships, I must have worked in all the departments: sales, marketing, warehousing. I should go to Alco's, sell steel to AC fabricators.
Wow.
I went to Media City, made a catalog, warehouse for 3 years, everything. And then for last 3 months, when I was 18, I actually sat in the chairman's office observing how he deals with everyone.
Love that.
So
A question here, sorry. Did he put this path for you, or you went through this on your own?
No, he put the path, but not every child would be willing at that age, right? Your
Yes.
friends are having slumber parties, playing video games. I did that as well. But then, at that age, not everyone is motivated to be doing that.
True.
So he did set the path, but I was happy to do it. So it was both ways.
So you passed over all the divisions,
Yeah.
and then at the end, you sat in the boardroom, you saw how things are going,
Right.
and there was the right time that you jump on the front seat.
So this is when I got my first freedom. I was 19, and I was supposed to, I was a good student in school actually, and I had got into one of the Ivy League colleges. But then my father recommended me to, and I didn't mind it then, that why don't you study and work at the same time? So that's why I went to American University of Sharjah, also one of the best colleges, universities over here. And when I was 19, he gave me $1 million, and he's like, look, we've just started the retail division. I want you to start the chandelier department.
Oof.
And I'm a 19-year-old kid. What is a chandelier, right?
Exactly.
What is a department? Fly off to China to a city called Gujan,
Yeah.
city of lights. So 70% of the world's lighting is bought from that one city.
Wow.
It's a city the size of Dubai. It has 7,000 shops of chandeliers with 10,000 factories in Dubai, in Gujan.
No way. So it's the whole city is about lights.
Literally, just lights in hotels and restaurants.
Wow.
And I had no idea about buying. And it's not, he didn't give me physically a bag of $1 million, but like a buying budget of $1 million. And we were going shop to shop just to try and figure out
What to
do.
yeah.
So made some Excel sheet, did a lot of research before going there, went to some shops, did some market research. And on the go, learned what is a minimum order quantity, what is, import duty,
Lead
what is a
time.
container, what is a lead time, how do you fill up a container, what is a cubic meter. This is basics for any retailer today. But when you're a 19-year-old kid and you've not been
what is
taught,
that? Yeah.
you need to learn.
You jumped in the experience and you learned from the experience.
So this was my first, big individual responsibility. And then that continued for almost 4 years. My entire university, I used to study and then go to my store right after college.
So you worked the whole 4 years working and studying.
Working and studying. I went for exhibitions. I would actually ask the professors, look, I need to go for this exhibition. Can I prepone my exam or postpone my exam? So I had to do a little bit of jugglery. But don't get me wrong, I had a great life.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. It's about how organized you are. I had a very good social life. I did everything what a young kid could do. But also I had the privilege of actually working with real money, with the real business, while actually learning about that in business. So, you're getting to do both.
Yeah, true.
So that was interesting for me, and it was a good, foundation for me to also learn how to be a buyer. So that was my first big challenge.
I love that.
Yeah.
How do you manage, as a person on your own,
Sure.
of course you have your ambitions, you have your goals. How do you manage the pressure or balance the pressure that you have being your father's son and the goals and the ambitions that you have for yourself?
I have never been pressurized by this.
Never.
No. I always feel grateful, privileged that I have this platform. I've never been pressurized, but I've also been self-motivated. And of course, my father is a very well-known personality. In my initial days when I would move around, that's Rizwan's son.
True.
So one thing which motivates me, I always have in the back of my mind to do so well, to create so much accomplishment that tomorrow people go up to him and be like, look, that's Adil's father. So that keeps me going. You always want to do better than what your father has done. Of course, it's hard. But things have been great. I think things have really worked out.
What motivates you to work now before we dig into the business? What motivates you to work? You have everything you want. Your family business is well established. Everybody has a why behind. What's your why?
So you're absolutely right. Like I told you, it's not the money, because we literally spend maybe less than 1% of what we make. We have a good house, everything is set, very decent lifestyle. So it's not that we're trying to do this to change our lifestyle. I kind of enjoy it.
The journey.
I like it. I really, I think I have my father's genes. And when I see him, he's almost going to be 60, in December. And when I see him today also working so hard, that also inspires me a lot. That if he's still doing it when he doesn't need to.
So you enjoy the journey rather than the outcome. You enjoy the achievement of something, not about
No,
the
I love the
monetary
outcome.
thing.
I love the outcome, but it's like a score. It's like a game. You know what I mean? It's like a big scoreboard. And how many numbers are you putting on that scoreboard?
Okay.
How are you contributing to the company? Because also I feel I have a responsibility to take on this family business to the third generation.
True.
Being the only child and being the eldest child of the second generation, you need to be passing the baton from the first to the third. And the only way you can be doing that is if you do and create something of your own.
True.
So that's what motivates me.
And I think that's your objective and goal as well.
Absolutely.
Being young and entering a family business. And when you enter a family business, there are much older people than you.
Oh, yeah.
And they look at you, oh my God, the kid is coming to teach us something.
Sure.
How did you handle this?
So before I answer that, because it's linked, I want to tell you the pivotal moment when I graduated, because it's linked. So when I graduated from my university, I wanted to join the family business straight away. And I had two paths to choose from. One was the building material business, which is our core business. We were doing a revenue back then of 1.5 billion a year. Very profitable, leaders in the market, successful.
Well established.
The second was the retail business. It was called Danube Bill Mart back then. We were doing about 100 million a year, which is less than 10%, losing 10 million a year. And my dad was fed up. So he's like, look,
Edge of closing.
I want to close it.
Yeah.
And that's when I told him, I'm like, give me this business and give me a chance. So that was a big, big moment for me. And I really want to do that because if I could do that, I could create value and create contribution. Because if it worked, it could become a cash cow for the company. So when I entered, obviously, even then, I'm the chairman's son. The business is new. We have a retail head. You have a buying head who was like 10, 15 years older than me. And, so I told them, I'm like, the first thing I told them was, I am not a threat. I'm not here to take your job. I'm here as your biggest weapon. Use me. I am the chairman's son, but don't see him as a threat. See me as a weapon because I can open a lot of doors for you.
You literally did this.
I did this. I said this. So I got them on a comfort level that I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. I'm here to use my education, my knowledge, and my experience so that we could grow this business and achieved our common objectives. We both want to succeed because I have something to prove.
True.
And if we grow, you will benefit as well.
You made them your allies.
I made them my allies and I made them see me as a weapon and not an enemy.
I love that.
So that conditioning was very, very vital because if your top leaders are not on board with you,
True.
then how are you going to do it?
We have a very similar case.
Yeah.
Back, like let's say 10 years back, I was appointed the CMO of Samsung and I was very young.
Wow.
And when I got this role, also I was a kid for the people below me.
Sure.
And I had the same thing. I got them and I sit with them and I said, like, I'm not a threat to you. Let's work together to get the confirmations and the approvals from the top.
Yeah.
I love that. Since we're in this type of business, how did you make the turnaround?
So this is an interesting story because
you have a rebranding in it. You played with the rebranding.
This was the game-changing moment. So the first 6 months I spent in conditioning my senior team and researching and doing I already had a fair understanding, but going into every part of the business. What is the warehousing looking like? What is my marketing looking like? What is my merchandising looking like? What are my stores? But the foundation of all of this is your balance sheet.
Yeah.
So I'm a numbers person. You need to know your numbers. You need to know your P&L, your balance sheet, and make sense of it.
True.
That's the key. After you get a fair understanding of what's happening by speaking to customers, employees, everyone, you need to take hard calls. Very, very, very hard calls. And that's what we did for the first 2 years. You won't believe it. I literally shut down half my stores.
Wow.
Because those stores where I did not see a silver lining, shut them down. We kept a strict instruction that within 6 months, I want to stop all local purchase. 80% of my material that time was local purchase. I said no more local purchase in 6 months because your margins go up. You have control on your stock. You have items which are unique. 6 months completely stopped. We went and we started investing in our warehouse and infrastructure because that's the base of the company. Hired good retail professionals on board. Fixed our merchandising. Fixed the way we are making our creatives. Now all of this might seem very simple and straightforward to any retail company. But keep in mind, back then we were a building material company who became a retail company. So we didn't have that expertise, right? It was completely
the core
different.
was different, true.
So I focus a lot of time on building our foundation. Once I got these people on board, that's when I transformed from Danube Build Mart to Danube Home. So Danube Build Mart initially was sell building materials in retail. And it was very erratic because one store size was 2,000 square feet, one was 20,000 square feet, one was 12,000 square feet. So whatever we had found, we just opened and like fill it up. So there was no proper science to it. So I'm like, it's not going to work like this. When you go and organize retail, you have a story.
True.
So two things we established. I saw a gap in the market where we wanted to be the one-stop destination for home furnishing and home improvement, which nobody was.
True.
So I wanted to sell garden, furniture, sanitary, tiles, electrical.
Of IKEA, of
Very different. It's a mix. So all these product lines, but nobody has that.
True.
You'll have a lot of furniture shops, but nobody's selling parquet flooring,
Exactly.
blinds, wallpapers, and then garden, and then kitchen, then sanitary and tiles. So I wanted to be a one-stop destination.
A question. You found this gap by researching? Because,
course.
you know, like it's a totally different out of your core business.
Sure.
So you wanted to see a gap because you wanted to have this struggle business pass?
Yeah. So this is one thing I've learned from my dad. Always find the gap. So you get to know when you start speaking to customers. Oh, why don't you guys sell retail items? When you start seeing what other people are doing. Oh, why are the furniture shops not selling flooring? That's a need. When I was designing my house in Marina back then, I had this problem. So because of this problem, when I had to decorate my house, even though we had an interior designer, we went to 10 shops. So I'm like, why isn't there a one-stop destination? And that's another thing we solved. We kept a policy where we said free interior designing service. A lot of people say that, but they take a deposit and they give it free when you purchase.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. We said free, you spend 2 days, you can take my design and go to the shop next door.
Wow.
Because even our pricing was very, very aggressive.
Competitive.
So all these things happened, and I remember, so I took over in 2012. By 2014, we grew the business from 100 to 128 million. And my dad wasn't happy. He's like, you've only grown 28%. It's a startup. I should do this, I should do that. And I told him, I'm like, look, we have a flawed business. It's very easy for me to throw money and open stores. But today, if you're losing 10 million, tomorrow you lose 30 million.
Exactly.
So that's not the way. You got to take a step back before you take two forward. So how did we do that? We first fixed the foundation, created the concept. And in 2014, that was a pivotal moment. I went back to my dad. I'm like, look, now we're ready. 2014 and actually 2015. Because that was the year we broke even. That was the year we got our store ready. Our foundation.
Took you 3 years?
2 years.
2 years to break even. Well done.
But we got more than the break even. We had our concept ready. We had the foundation ready. And I told him in 2015 that, look, I want to grow this business by 10x. I want to do $1 billion in revenue by 2020. Do I have your blessings? Financially, of course. And he that's what I mean. That when I spoke about being supportive and giving the freedom, he said, Adel, yes, I support you fully. You just have to ensure that when you're growing your top line, don't lose sight on your bottom line. As long as you're delivering your bottom line, you have my blessings.
True.
And so finally, you're excited. You have this big new challenge or new vision in front of you. So how do you break it down to your team? Because you can have the vision,
but if they don't believe it,
if your team is not as aligned with you, how do you take it forward?
True.
So the first thing I did was took 35 people of my leadership team, branch managers, warehouse heads, marketing heads.
You flew them somewhere or what?
We went to Bali.
Oh shit.
For 4 days, and this is the first time this has happened. Now, if you can imagine, I'm 23. The average age of my team is 27, 28. Young team. We go to Bali for 4 days. The first 3 days we freak out.
Fun.
Oh my God, just fun. River rafting, kayaking, partying, everything, you name it. And on day 4,
sit down.
I sat down on a beach, on a bonfire. And that's when 2 things we spoke about. The first was that, hey guys, we need to have a culture. And we created this culture of one team, one goal. And that kind of created like a cult-like feeling. The second thing was, I'm like, hey, look, I know we've been struggling for the last few years, but I want to grow this business by 10x in the next 5 years. Now, I'm not just saying 10x because it sounds fancy. I'm saying 10x because I've done market research, and this is how we're going to do it. So look, this is what our competitors are doing. This is which markets we're going to enter. This is how much one store can do. How many stores I want to open, where I want to open. Basic framework.
True.
Basic framework. And I said to them, I'm like, look, the next 3 years for you, next 5 years for you, is going to be extremely hard. Whatever work you did in the last 5 years, you're going to do 3 times the amount. 3 times the amount in the next 5 years. It's not going to be easy. It's not everyone's cup of tea. But I promise you, if the company grows, I'll make sure you're going to grow along with it.
Wow.
But if it's not up to you, leave today. Out of the 35, 34 stuck. 1 left.
No way.
He tried coming back a lot. Unfortunately, we didn't have room for him then.
Wow.
But all 34 still work for me today in 2023. All of them today are in senior positions, and they're doing extremely well.
Wow.
And if you want to know what happened,
Exactly. Don't keep it till the end. 2020 happened.
if you want to know what happened, we didn't touch $1 billion, but we touched 700 million in revenue,
Wow.
which was almost a 7x,
7x.
growth. But more than the revenue, what I was proud about is that we took a company that was losing 10% a year to a company that was making more than 10% a year. So for me, that was a defining moment.
Very well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, very well
and
done.
it was my baby, right?
Yeah,
So
very well done.
Yeah.
And I love how you took the team out of the comfort zone where they work every day. You took them out for a trip.
best investment ever.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise it wouldn't work. And everybody was charged up. It was nuts. Those 5
Absolutely.
years were magical.
I love that.
Yeah.
If I go a little bit, okay,
Yeah.
you expanded globally as well,
Yes.
and you didn't talk about this.
So as
Why it came to you, and the important thing, because a lot of people who listen to us, people think that to grow globally, it's an easy thing.
Right.
But you always talk about the foundations before you expand, even locally. How does it go when you go abroad?
So as we started seeing success in our retail brand, and we were actually one of the fastest growing home improvement retailers in the region, not coming from a retail background, especially. So I saw an opportunity where I wanted to make Danube Home a global brand. If you think about it, we live in Dubai. Dubai has all the brands of the world. And you go to Dubai Mall, you'll find everything. My vision was I wanted to take a Dubai homegrown brand to the world.
Nice.
So again, we started working on the foundation, and I'm so proud we have our franchise business. And outside the Middle East, through the franchise business, today we are present in more than 10 countries.
Wow.
And Danube Home today has become a global brand. And the second also thing which we established was we wanted to be a forward-looking company. So I always believed in e-commerce. And even though we were young in retail, we were actually one of the first few companies to adopt e-commerce back in 2012.
True.
So that was also something great, where not only do we have an omni-channel presence, but also we are a marketplace, and we're trying to create a destination for home.
How the e-learning, you put e-learning, e-commerce, the team building activities, you think played the role in the growth of Danube Home?
No, it's important. You need to keep evolving. You can't be living in the past. The world is evolving so fast, and you need to always look ahead. And a lot of the times what happens is, in whatever happens in the West follows suit.
In a way, correct.
So earlier the gap was 10 years and it was 5 years, now the gap is smaller. So when you would see a lot of companies, doing so well in e-commerce abroad, and then you'd have a lot of criticism. Who's going to buy furniture online?
True, yeah.
But then if you would live with that mindset, you'd never grow.
True.
So we always, adopt it to the future and move forward thinking.
What kind of advice would you give people who really want to grow globally? You have to say, for example, they conquer the market locally, and then once the foundations are done, they expand globally. And what kind of challenges they can face on a global level?
A lot.
Like hell.
I mean, first, the fundamentals of your business have to be strong, which means you need to be making good money here. Because if you can't make good money yourself, then it's difficult to make money for someone else and yourself. So
True.
your commercials of how the economics of your business have to be very, very strong. Second thing is, you need to be trying to do something different from the market. So what we were able to establish in the Middle East, one-stop solution, could be for any business. Have something unique which other people don't have. Unique selling
A
proposition.
profitable concept as well.
Profitable and unique. Once you've done that, and you want to target the franchise, start studying the other markets. So what our strategy was, we didn't go to developed markets for franchise. We targeted developing countries.
True.
Because what happens over there is, yes, the disposable income for the rich is few. But even for those few, there's no organized retail
Exactly.
or organized company fulfilling that service.
What countries can you say that?
Many in Africa.
Yeah.
So we are in, Kenya, Uganda,
Wow.
Tanzania, Nepal.
Oh, mashallah.
Yeah. So a lot of countries, Namibia,
Yeah.
Egypt. So we're present.
You're in Egypt?
We're in Egypt as well.
I've been a very long time I didn't go to Egypt.
And when you find that gap in those countries, that okay, that problem is not being fulfilled, it's not that you come and you replicate the exact same thing over there.
True.
So if you're going to the franchise route, the first thing is you need to make sure you have the right franchise partner.
True.
And having money is not enough. I always say having a franchise partner is like getting married. So you date a few people,
True.
and then you figure
see
out
the
who the
right-
right partner
Exactly.
is. Is he somebody who you can trust? What kind of business does he have? What kind of personality does he have?
Values, principle, ethics.
Everything.
Yeah.
Because if your marriage is good, you could have many kids,
true.
you'll have many more branches,
True,
right?
true.
So I can say, in that sense, I have 10 successful marriages outside.
I love that. I love that.
But yeah, we've been lucky to find good partners. After you find the partner, a team goes in and we do a thorough study of the market. What is my competition selling at? What is the duty over there? What are the geopolitical challenges? What is my per capita income? What is the currency fluctuation that's happened last few years? How is the economic stability? How is the safety over there? You got to look at so many
It's
different
not
things.
an easy thing that you think your success here will replicate right away outside.
Yeah,
It's-
so it depends on your research, depends on how much effort you've put into it. And once you've done that science, that look, I'm buying this cup for $1. If I take it over there, my landed cost is going to be $2. I want to sell it for $4. What is somebody else selling it for?
True.
Is he selling it for $5 or for $3? So there's a lot of effort that needs to be done in research. And then also the taste is different. Like, for example,
Behavior, attitude
when
of
we
the-
went to India, there it rains a lot. So people there prefer leather over fabric. Houses are smaller, so they prefer four-door wardrobe.
assortment even is different.
Of course.
Of
Not
course.
completely,
Yeah.
but you need to go specific. So certain places like different colors, some people like bigger. Certain places have taller people, so you need bigger bathtubs.
Exactly, yeah.
So you got to customize a bit. And you got to have some fair understanding of the local market. I'm not all of it. So yeah, if you get these basics right, good partner, good research, good foundation. And the last part of this is your systems have to be strong. What tech are you using? Are you going to be stocking your material here or somewhere else? If it's somewhere else, how easy is it to send
True.
it? So many of these things. So if you get the systems in place, then it's very easy to
These are
expand.
knowledge bombs. I think everybody will love this part because really scaling and going abroad
Sure.
is a dream for a lot of entrepreneurs. And thank you for sharing these
And
insights.
initially, it's hard. I can tell you that much. It's pretty hard. But once you get a knack of it, and you want to understand, what are the nitty-gritties, because the challenges, 80% of them will be common.
True.
So when you understand the challenges, how can you avoid them? What systems can you put in place?
And you
And
use
initially, don't have anything that I'm going to make some big money. Initially, you got to invest a lot to get and play the long-term game.
it. That's why you said like your local presence in your country has to be very strong first before
Yeah.
you go abroad.
Exactly. So for us, our perspective was, initially we didn't want to make some big money globally, but because our local businesses had enough money,
True.
so we
gives
focus
you-
more on creating the infrastructure to support the franchise, and then eventually it pays off in a big way.
True. Before I dig more into business, I want you to talk about a little bit of the Karama time and how this influenced your childhood.
I loved it back then.
Yeah.
I loved it in the sense that, that was also a different phase in life. We used to cycle around everywhere. I used to go, the shawarmas on the street.
I love that.
And it was a good time. I mean, I used to go swimming to Ramadan in Bardabai. Yeah, they used to have some cafes, for
True,
Counter-Strike back in the
true.
day. So yeah, I had a fun childhood. Of course, very different from what I'm living today. But I enjoyed bits of it. It
You
taught
miss
me
it in a way.
I miss it. And
Yeah.
that really taught you the value of money.
True.
How much am I spending, playing billiards, this, that. So it was fun. It was definitely fun.
Life evolved and you
Yeah.
became extremely busy.
Yeah.
How do you manage your time being a successful person, running with several verticals, I would say,
Sure.
and taking care of yourself And your family, of course.
So a lot of people ask me this. I'm a very balanced person. I travel almost 100 plus days in a year.
90 days, man.
100 plus days. It's 100 plus day this year already.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Jan to October, I'm 100 plus already.
Boosh.
And the only thing I've learned is the busier you get, the more organized you have to be. I have 2 secretaries sitting in my office, one for follow-up and one for managing my schedules. And my calendar is planned to the T. Every minute of my calendar is planned, whether it's at work or outside work. And I, find it's, a lot of people say that I don't have time to work out, I don't have time to meet friends, I have kids, I don't buy that, because if you have time to Netflix and chill,
exactly,
you have time for anything else. So for me, I make the most of everything. I'm working hard. I take out time for my kids. I have a huge social life. I love playing sports. I go to the gym every day. I do it all.
It's been like this always?
Always.
Or even when you were setting up the retail business, you were always balancing your time?
Honestly, I'm busier now.
No way.
I'm busier now because back then it was only the retail business. Now there are 5 verticals.
So we need to talk about the 5 verticals.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what are the 5 verticals? And if the 5 verticals are successful, then it looks like you have a secret sauce, a secret formula to it. So what is it?
So of course, Danube Home is the mother. That's the retail business. We've done extremely well in that. 2 of the verticals are actually extensions. So one is we spoke about the franchise business, where we've expanded Danube Home globally. The second is the e-commerce business, where not only have we done omni-channel, but we've created like a marketplace. Besides this, we've also entered into the hospitality business.
Wow.
So I saw, a huge trend where, the number of tourists were increasing significantly in this part of the world. And a lot of hotels were being built. And when I started researching the market, I saw the same gap I saw in retail. You have
reminded you of something.
You have a lot of fragmented players. But there's no one-stop shop. So with that thought in mind, we created this one-stop shop as a solution provider for hotels. So everything from furniture, fixtures, which is FF&E, OS&E, which is operating supplies and equipment, kitchen, utensils, linen, bathrobes, you name it, garden furniture. So everything that's required in a hotel, we launched. We tied up with almost 20 brands, different price points. And we've supplied to many hotels, including Royal Atlantis, Crown Plaza, Marriott. So there are many, many hotels on our list. And even though that business is, 4 years old, we've created, good, a good mark in the business. And the 5th, which is my most fun, is Danube Sports World.
How did it come to you? You want to create something like that?
I love sports. And even though the other businesses are somehow linked to the core, sports has nothing to do with the business we have. And as an avid sports player, I used to play and go to different sports facilities, primarily in Al Quoz. And I always found that parking was an issue. I found that there was no multi-sport. It was very like paddle is paddle, football is football, cricket is cricket. Traffic was a huge issue. And you just didn't get that vibe, And I thought to myself, I'm like, Dubai, which is like a mecca of Middle East for sports. I don't know if you're aware. 400 international sporting events happen only in Dubai every year. 400. You have all the rulers of Dubai, so actively playing. His Highness Sheikh Hamdan is actively involved in paddle tennis. You have Dubai 30 by 30 in November. So you have so much going on. And if you think about it, Dubai has the best of restaurants, best of malls, best of buildings, best of furniture shops, best of everything. Why is there not even one indoor sports facility that's multi-purpose, which is open 365 days a year?
Wow.
So that was another gap I spotted. And even though this was not part of our core business, there was an itch I had to scratch.
You love it. Yeah.
I had to do it. And one of the second reasons was sports is the perfect way to connect to the community. You're promoting health. You're promoting health. You are able to connect to big corporates, to the government entities, to schools, to different organizations. You're encouraging young people to become sportsmen. It's such a cool business. So
I love sports also.
So that was the thought process behind it. And then when we were opening it, because I wanted to have a high return on time, so that I'm spending so for me ROT is very important. So I'm like, it has to be big. Otherwise it's not going to be worth my time. And we actually opened the largest indoor sports facility in the Middle East and Asia.
Wow.
And it's been open for like 7 months now, but it's doing extremely well. Even I sometimes find it difficult to get a booking over there.
No way.
Yeah,
I want to go visit actually.
You are going to love it. I think so. If you like sports, you're definitely going to love it.
But tell me, the idea came to you and reality happened. How long?
2 years.
2 years.
So a lot of people see the outside.
Yeah.
They don't know what happens in the inside.
Exactly.
It was extremely hard. Oh my God.
From licensing and these kind of things?
You have no idea. So it took me the first 4 months. I'm like, okay, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It took me about 4 months to identify the right plot because I wanted something on the main road. I wanted something big. And how do you get that, right? In Dubai, it's hard. You won't believe, every second or fourth day or third day from work, I would leave at 4:35 and go for a recce to see different warehouse and plots. Wow. I must have seen more than 100 plots and warehouses before I said, this is the one.
Wow.
After we identified the plot, I must have gone and met the CEO, of the big company 6 times to convince him to give it to me.
No freaking way.
6 times. And that's the effort it took in just finalizing the plot. A lot of people like hasty, I'm not getting it, let's just finalize this. No, it doesn't work like that. You gotta be, because that's, retail.
Location.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's the key. So we got the right location. Then the second challenge we faced was the approvals, because nothing like this had ever been done.
It's a new thing, true.
Ever in Dubai, in that scale.
Yeah.
And we were opening in the heart of city on Sheikh Zayed Road. So the approvals took so long. It took a year almost just to obtain the approvals. And then once we got the approvals on board, another 6 months to finally go live. So the entire journey was 2 years.
2 years.
And it was very challenging. Initially, it was very, very challenging. But hey, it worked out.
What is your secret sauce then for having 5 verticals, super successful? So it's either a sauce or an equation. What is it?
Well, there are many things, but if I have to narrow it down to 2 things, the first, which is something I learned from my dad, is we always try to find a gap in the market. Like, when my dad started the building material business and he became successful, because again, even in that business, somebody was selling steel, somebody was selling plywood. Yeah. So he's like, look, I want to create a one-stop solution. We had almost 25,000 SKUs. Anything and everything in building materials we had.
True.
So with that concept, it worked. When we came into the property business, in 2014, when we launched it, all the big boys were selling $1 million house and plus. And the payment plans wasn't there. So somebody who's earning 20,000 dirhams, 15,000 dirhams a month, how does he buy a house? And if you think about it, 90% of the population is expat. People have been living in rented houses for so many years. So that's a problem that needs to be solved. So my father came up with the 1% payment plan, and that was a big hit. So he found a gap which solved the problem. And that's what you need to do. With the retail business, again, we became a one-stop solution. So one is find an important gap which is not being fulfilled. But the second thing is you can find the gap, but if you want to really scale and do multiple businesses, the most important thing is your people.
Team around you.
So your top talent has to be the best in the market. You need to give them, good incentives so they stick. You need to give them full empowerment so they can do and run the business they like. You need to give them all the arms and ammunitions for them to be successful. Only then can you succeed. Even then, it looks rosy on the outside. All the journeys have had lots and ups and downs. But eventually, if your vision is strong, your people are strong, and your conviction is strong, you'll always win in the long term.
I love that. Yeah. What was your biggest challenge? With all these verticals, the biggest thing that said like, oh shit.
I think the initial days was hard, but since I spoke about the retail business, the next challenge that we had was COVID.
Oh shit, of course.
Yeah, so everyone faced the challenge of COVID, and there's no business school in the world that teaches you how to run a business with no revenue.
True. Run a business with scale without revenue.
Right, so we have 4,000 families to feed, and that time, when I broke down the problem, we had 2 challenges. One was a psychological and health challenge, that how do I, make sure my employees are okay. Yeah. And the second was a business challenge, that what do I do to sustain this?
Yeah, to keep the boat moving, too.
And both are equally important because everyone's scared. Everybody could be exposed to COVID. And I'm so proud to say as a Danubian, we were one of the first
I love how you said it. Say it again.
Danubian.
I love that.
So proud to say that, we were one of the first companies, private companies over here who got all our staff vaccinated in the month of December.
Wow.
When it happened in 2020. So that was fantastic. The second initiative we took was we spent a lot of money in health camps, regular checkups, tied up with a lot of hospitals to make sure if something went wrong, we support them. We even launched a lot of initiatives for other people who lost their jobs. So we did a lot, and we didn't fire many people.
True.
And we cut 30% of 1 month's salary in one of the months,
Wow.
but we paid it back
You
at the
took-
end. We
you
paid
took
it
the
back.
hit. You took the hit.
But we paid it back.
Yeah.
So everyone was heavily, so that was from the people side. From the business side, we had to innovate. So how do we do that? Number one was e-commerce started booming.
Yeah.
So e-commerce was up 6x.
But a question.
Yeah.
You were set on e-commerce at that time
I
or
was.
not?
Like
You
I
were
said,
set.
we were one of the
Yeah.
first companies to start e-commerce. So there you go, it paid off.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
furniture does sell
Yeah.
online.
Exactly.
And that's what helps. So furniture, the e-commerce business went up 6x.
Wow.
So immediately we started reskilling people and started, shifting them to the e-commerce team.
Yeah.
We then started this new thing where accepting business by doing Zoom calls. So we would have all our sales advisors in our stores. We would do a Zoom call with our customers,
Wow.
showing them one by one each item,
What to do?
with giving them free, easy returns if you don't like it. We created like a 3D AR virtual concept of our retail store, so people could browse through it.
Wow.
Lots of different initiatives took place, but luckily for us, it didn't last very long. Businesses opened, and because we were also selling building material in the retail,
true, yeah.
and most of our shops were retail, our shops opened up before our competitors.
Ah, correct.
So that gave us a big edge.
True. Correct.
And then the wind turned, because the wind turned as in suddenly shops opened up, everybody's staying at home. So guess what everybody needs? Furniture.
True. When everybody said people won't buy online.
So no, everybody needs furniture. So suddenly the furniture industry started booming, and everybody, you won't believe, my garden furniture started selling in summer. June, July, my garden is flying.
No way.
Anything you had was flying at that moment. But then we had another challenge. Suddenly we have a lot of demand, but then all the factories got shut.
Where's the product?
So this is life, So first phase, you have so much product, no one to sell to.
True.
Suddenly you have so much demand, but nowhere to
Supply
buy
and
from.
demand. True.
And it was challenging. And then we had to then find alternate sourcing, go to other countries. You can't travel anywhere. So imagine now you're designing furniture, and we that year, so we saved on travel, but I think we spent 3 times more the amount
On the product.
in
Logistics.
air shipping
Logistics,
samples,
yeah.
so that we could
True,
see it
true.
before we make the purchase. And again, very, very interesting
A
times.
lovely journey, I believe.
And
A
we
lovely
work
journey.
every day. We work really hard, extra hard in
Yeah.
COVID, because see, at the end of the day, we have a fiduciary responsibility. There are 4,000 families working for
True.
us. So as a leadership team, me and the entire leadership team who's involved, we all have to make it succeed, because if you don't, there are 4,000 families
True,
at stake.
a lot on your shoulders.
So
How do you define success for you?
for me,
Yeah.
When you think about a problem and it comes to reality, but more importantly, when the numbers are in the green after that, for me,
True.
that's success. That is the best feeling in the world. Like you identified a problem, you put all your energy into it,
Make it happen.
and then make it happen, but make it happen successfully. Make it profitable, make it the talk of the town.
I love that.
For me, that I think the feeling, the adrenaline you get after that, I don't think anything beats that.
You know, I have something on the show that we usually do. You have kids, correct?
Yeah,
The
3
age?
kids, 642.
642. So can
COVID
you-
helped.
So we do something in the show here
Yeah.
that here is a camera.
Yeah.
I want you to look at this camera and tell something to your kids that
Okay.
this video will exist on the internet for
Sure.
quite long. So they can see it even after 10 years.
Yeah.
So let's say they're going to see it after 10 years. What would you love to tell them?
Well, 2 things. Number 1 is I joined work at 13. So just because you're born in Emirates Hills doesn't mean you're not going to be working. You're going to be starting work at the age of 12 or even earlier. And the second thing I want to say is, well, it's a surprise. So I don't know if they see it earlier.
Yeah.
I actually, for my, my last child's birthday, I bought, 5 Bitcoins.
Yeah.
And I've kept it in like a secret
a
wallet.
wallet,
In a
yeah.
secret. It's supposed to be a surprise. And because I'm like, look, either it's going to be worth $1 million and I'll be a
exactly.
hero and a visionary. But if it goes down to zero, I'm just going to throw the wallet and delete the video. So we might have to cut this part out.
So they don't know about it.
No,
Yeah.
they 6'4" too.
Good.
Yeah.
So I believe after 10 years, they will find this wallet and they'll go home.
Depends
My
on
father
what
was
the
a
price is.
visionary. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your habits and routines, because I believe habits and routines
Yeah.
are part of the success journey.
Absolutely.
What habits and routines do you have?
Oh yeah, so I have a very organized day. I normally wake up by 7. I have a driver, but I drop my kids to school every morning, and then I hit the gym by 8. 8 to 9, 9:15, I'm at the gym. I shower over there. I eat breakfast in my car on the way to the office. By 9:45, 10, I'm in the office every day.
Extremely structured.
Yeah. And then normally I come home by 6:37, and my driver knows that when we're on the way, he'll message the nannies. So when I reach there, the kids are in the pool.
Oh, wow.
Jump straight into the pool, and then generally I also play paddle tennis once a week, twice a week at 8:30 p.m. Or I'll have a dinner once a week at 8:30
Yeah.
p.m. The other days I'm at home. Either me and my wife will watch something, spend some time with family. I like reading, so we'll read a bit.
Wow.
So it's organized,
Yeah.
but the challenge is, this is when I'm in Dubai. The remaining 100 days, I'm just traveling everywhere.
And within the 100 days, 90% of these 100 days are work as well.
Yeah.
Do you mix, like, because some people say like there is a work-life balance, which I don't believe it doesn't exist. Do you make it work-life integration, so you travel with the family and sometimes you work as well, so you mix things, or you totally separate?
See, I don't agree with that. I think there can be a work-life balance. Yes, when you're an entrepreneur and you want to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to sacrifice on a lot of things. So I agree on that. But you can strike a work-life balance if you're super organized. But again, where the balance lies depends on what you want in life.
True.
But it's possible. It's possible. Absolutely.
But when you travel, you separate. Like
Yeah.
you're traveling with the family. I'm traveling-
In general, I do separate. In general, I do separate. When it's a work trip, I do generally make it a work trip. And when it's a family fun trip, we make it a fun trip. But sometimes you open showroom somewhere,
True.
so then you take the family
Yeah.
with you, inauguration.
Oh, two
That's
in one.
different.
2 in 1.
That's different.
Do you have a hidden talent or a skill that nobody knows?
I plan really good trips.
Okay. I'll come to you next time,
So
okay?
I mean, especially when I'm traveling with my wife or kids, even though I'm the busier one,
Yeah.
I take the initiative because you get those few days.
True. You want to make it the
So
best.
I want to make sure it's max, and it's not necessarily the amount you're spending, but max in the sense of what you're doing or what you
True.
want to achieve out of that trip.
True.
So,
So you
yeah.
plan very well.
I think so.
Okay. I'll come to you for my next trip.
Sure,
Tell me how to
sure.
drill it down. What will be your goals and aspirations, I would say, for the next 5 years? Personally and professionally, of course.
They both contradict each other. Personally, of course, I want to spend.
There is a balance.
I want to spend as much time as possible with my kids, be involved with them because they're only young for so long, right? My wife keeps telling me that they're going to be grown up and you won't even know it.
True.
So that's something I want to achieve personally. Second thing is I've been, focusing a lot on my health with the food, with the gym. So I really want to have, I want to continue with my healthy routine. So that's something that's very, very important to me. Professionally, I think there's a lot on my plate. Also, I want to be more involved in our property business. I mean, in terms of Danube Home, there's a lot of expansion that's been planned. Even Sports World successful, so I want to open, definitely a few more. And get more involved in the property business as well.
I love that. There is a section in the episode or the podcast that's called the Quickfire Insights, the
Okay.
Alpha Quickfire Insights. So
Okay.
I'll shoot you questions,
Sure.
and as fast as possible, you tell me the answers. So, a person who influenced you the most in your life.
Yeah, but definitely my father, for sure.
I love that also. Your favorite book?
I love How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Amazing book. Your favorite movie genre?
I like sci-fi.
Your life biggest regret?
No regrets as such. Yeah.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
I was a big night owl.
Oh, yeah.
Now I'm an early bird.
Tea or coffee for you?
Cappuccino.
Ooh. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Dogs or cats?
Cats.
Morning routine is going to be a gym or sleeping?
Gym for sure.
Of
Every day.
course. Your favorite travel destination?
Depends on the objective. But if I want to relax,
Yeah.
Maldives. If I want to have fun with my friends, there's so many places out there. I love
Example?
Ibiza. I've been there many times. I went to Cappadocia recently. That was good.
cool.
So it depends on what you're looking for.
City living or
City
countryside?
living, for sure.
Sunset or sunrise?
Sunrise. Sorry, sunset. My bad. Sunset. I like sunset.
Okay. Superpower of choice, invisibility or flying?
Flying. I travel so much. That'd be useful.
You like cars or bikes?
Cars.
Favorite cuisine?
I like Thai. Thai and Japanese, yeah.
Favorite color?
Red.
Favorite car brand?
I like the Lamborghini, especially the Urus.
Yeah.
And I also love Rolls Royce. We have a lot of those, yeah.
Of course. Your favorite watch brand?
Jacob & Co.
So we are in the Alpha Talks show.
Yeah.
How do you define an alpha?
An alpha for me is somebody who commands respect and not demand respect. What that means is when you're an alpha, I want to listen to you. I want to do what you are saying because I respect you, not because you're the chairman's son or because you have a title. So generally an alpha is somebody who's confident, powerful, who's done something really meaningful, somebody who you look up to, somebody who can connect with people. For me, that's an alpha.
Amazing definition.
Yeah.
What would be your last message you want to leave the audience with today?
Yeah, so I always believe, and I've seen a lot of young people, that I think that if you want to truly be successful, you need to be getting up and getting out there. And it should not be next month, it should not be next week, it should not be tomorrow, it should be today.
Now.
Because I see a lot of people with so many ideas, but they don't implement it, they just talk about it.
True.
I always believe an entrepreneur is a doer, not a dreamer.
Correct. Getting things done.
It's a sense of urgency.
I love that. We have a ritual in the Alpha Talks podcast,
Okay.
which is called the Alpha Talks Memoir. So the Alpha Talks Memoir
Okay.
is very simple. You have to do 3 things.
Okay.
And it's about writing, but we'll do it after the show.
Sure.
The first thing is that you write about your experience in the Alpha Talks show.
Okay.
The second is you write a question
Yeah.
for the next Alpha guest.
Okay.
It's a way of connecting the Alpha guests together. Even they will not know that you asked the question, so you can be open with the questions.
Okay.
Number 3 is who do you recommend to be our next Alpha guest who will really add value to our audience? So before moving to this, you need to answer the question from the previous Alpha guest.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. Okay, interesting. What's the secret to saving money and investing the money to be rich and wealthy?
Can you repeat that again, sorry?
It's a hard one.
What's
the secret to saving money and at the same time investing it to be rich and wealthy? And I think the guy is talking about generational wealth.
So, for us, the way we have been able to create a lot of generation wealth is through business. We used to invest a lot in properties. I have invested a little bit in stocks as well. But these are things which are not in your control. If you have a winning formula which works, where you can get your money back in 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, then it's much
better
easier
than-
to replicate that by repeating that
I love that.
consistently. So that's what's created our generational wealth, number one. Number two is, again, just because you have started one business or you're doing one thing, doesn't mean you should be doing that for the rest of your life.
Pivot.
Be alert, see what's happening. There's a lot of artificial intelligence coming in. So
Yeah.
figure out what the new trends are and see how you can make the most of that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Adel, thank you very much. I appreciate the talk. I enjoyed the talk, the conversation, and I'm sure that everyone watching us now will be super happy and really, I would say, appreciate the value that you're giving through the show.
Sure.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
That wraps another inspiring episode of today's show. I hope that this episode has ignited your inner alpha and left you feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to conquer any challenge that comes your way. Remember, alphas aren't born, they're made. It isn't about dominating others, it's about embracing your authenticity, leading with integrity, and making a positive impact on the world. If you enjoyed today's episode, Be sure to subscribe to the Alpha Talks on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review and share the podcast with your fellow Alphas. Also connect with us on social media at SEIF Al-Hakim. Share your thoughts, insight, and stories of personal and business growth with us. Let's create a movement of Alphas supporting one another. The world needs more Alphas like you exactly. Until next time, stay bold, stay driven, and stay Alpha.